If I went back in time, before humans arrived in this country, North Norfolk would look a little like this, with oak trees everywhere. Then, after a while, other varieties of trees were introduced into the countryside. But as humans settled in Britain, people in North Norfolk became farmers and had to chop down the trees to create and develop the land we see today.
Once people started developing tools in the Bronze Age, they started to cut down trees, clear areas for farming, in quite a small way at first, but over thousands of years we've cleared away most of the trees. How we see the landscape is a result of how people have farmed and how people have used the land over thousands of years. Nowadays, farmers are pretty good at getting the most out of the land, and it does take a little bit of extra help, to give the wildlife a chance. So things they can do is manage hedges well, have unfarmed strips alongside the hedges and along the field edges. They can leave overwintered stubble, which has food for farmland birds, like yellowhammers and so on.
Many North Norfolk farmers are part of a government-paid-for scheme set up to help wildlife on their farms. Roger Combe takes this very seriously on his Bayfield farm near Holt.
What we've done, we've taken a lot of the steep land, for example, out of production so that there is no runoff into the rivers. We have lots of skylark plots. So in the middle of fields there's fallow areas where they can do their stuff. Lots of grass, beautiful, beautiful semi-ancient woodlands. We've got muntjac, roe deer, red deer which come in from Holt Woods. And so provided I follow what they want me to do, which is, for example, 6-metre margins, lots of lovely tussocky grassland and wild bird seed, I will get paid by the government twice a year for providing this service.
We haven't got a lot of trees around here, that's how Norfolk is. Big fields, and that suits grey partridges, so they're an important and typical species. Things like brown hares, not birds, but animals are also quite typical around here as well. The coast is particularly rich in wildlife, and even parts of here were set up by farming practices. Seawalls were set up, the salt marshes drained, and they were set up as grazing marshes, so farming cattle on those marshes.
I've come a little down the coast to Blakeney, set amongst the marshlands. It's a great place to come and discover all sorts of wildlife. Back in the summer, I was here, and believe it or not, it was a little wetter than today.
Sea level rise won't affect the farming greatly. I mean, there is a bit of farming on that low land next to the sea, but a lot of that is sort of nature reserve, it's marshes and so on. Now, it depends how fast the sea level rises. If it rises fairly slowly, the salt marshes can keep up with that because they get lots of mud on each time the tide comes in, and that helps to build up the marshes over time. So they might be able to keep pace with sea level rise at least for a while. But in general, I guess sea level rise isn't going to affect farming massively. Climate change might do. We're probably going to have warmer summers, warmer winters as well, and rainfall patterns rather different. We're probably going to get more stormy weather, more concentrated rain, and then probably more droughts as well. What farmers are doing more and more is actually building reservoirs which collect rainfall in the winter when there's more rainfall, and then use it in the summer when we're short of rainfall and they need it. And there's probably going to be more of that about in the future, irrigation reservoirs on farms. It could be that the sort of crops that farmers can grow are going to change. They're going to have to think about whether the crops they grow now are the ones that are going to work in the future. But farmers have always adapted to change.
We were blessed with some marvellous complexes of Victorian and earlier barns, which of course are hopeless for modern day farming and modern day equipment, but they lend themselves wonderfully to what's called diversification. So we have lots of different businesses in these barns. We've got a brewery, we've got a doll's house maker, we've got a jack-in-the-box maker, we've got various internet companies. There's nothing common in a North Norfolk farm. Every farm is unique.
The Norfolk coast, area of outstanding natural beauty, has the same importance in landscape terms. It's a very special landscape in the same way that places like the Broads, and the lakes and the Peak District, the Cotswolds, lots of other places around the country, but they're all very special landscapes.
North Norfolk's beautiful landscapes mustn't be taken for granted. Our farmers, with a little help from us, look after the environment, allowing all sorts of wildlife to live and thrive. So, get out and about to see what you can see. Look out for barn owls, and most importantly, have fun.